We have breaking news. Let's get right to it.
Past 24 hours, we've seen 34 new cases of COVID-19 here in Utah.
Following breaking news out of Utah, a magnitude 5.7 earthquake hitting just after 7 a.m. local time, about 10 miles west of Salt Lake City.
We need 100 to 150,000 tests a day.
Woo! Another Isolation 20 podcast. Good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're watching this, I just appreciate you click and play. I mean, it's very simple, very easy. This whole podcasting thing, I think sometimes we make it more difficult than what it is. Like, we're literally chilling. You and I got my Diet Coke here. I got a little bit of Crown Royal. I don't know who brought the Crown Royal to the studio. If you are the owner of the Crown Royal, let it be known, because I'm honestly not sure who brought it. I don't typically buy Crown. I'm more of a tequila guy. Vita Tequila, that is. Shout out to Lisa and John and the Barlow family. But yeah, man, it's a Friday. What's today? Today's Friday. It's a Friday evening. I had talked to the wife, and wifey made some plans, and I was like, all right, well, let me go ahead and go to the studio. And record an ISOPod. You know, I think I didn't do one last week. And Isolation 20 podcast has always been that thing that is just you and I, right? You have your beverage. Hopefully you have your beverage. If you don't, make sure you go run, grab one right now. Go get it right now. And we just get to sit back, hang out, and talk a little bit. You know, there's a lot of things in life that have been happening. First off, I need to say happy birthday. I guess it would be belated birthday by the time this comes out. My man Fonzie from the Lake Talk 801's podcast, his birthday is today, so salute to my guy. I actually did a workout and dedicated it to him today. He that's good. Yeah, he's somebody that I've met here in this community of podcasting. I don't even know how I think there was somebody on his podcast that was like, yo, you got to check out the Lake Talk, or I got mentioned or something in the Lake Talk 801 podcast. And so as I do with everybody, right? If I hear that there's a new podcast or somebody that's starting or somebody that's been doing it, I reach out to them like, yo, what's going on? Like, how is it going? Is there anything that I can help out with, you know? And yeah, just grew a relationship with not only Fonzie, but G Daddy Funk and the Real Ruben as well. And when I had today's workout, I asked Wonder last night. I was like, first of all, salute to Wonder for putting together this workout today. Short notice. But I asked him, I felt guilty. We'll get into my son's birthday, or my son's graduation here in a minute. But I felt guilty because I didn't eat the best last night. No sugarcoating it. I ate horrible last night. But you know, to kind of bounce back after that horrible display of eating, I was like, yo, Wonder, do you mind putting together a new workout for me? He's like, I got you, son, don't worry. What'd you do last time? I was like, yeah. Or what'd you do today? And I think yesterday I did. I think I did did I do a lot of lifting? I forget what I did. But Wonder was like, yo, here, I got you. He sent me over the workout. And I was like, all right, man, we're going to dedicate this workout to Fonzie, man, and honor his birthday. Ended up doing a really good workout. Had fun in the gym. You know, today I actually had fun. I thought it was going to be a rough day, but no, I had fun in the gym. And if you haven't seen the journey, if you haven't seen the workouts that I've been doing, you can find all of them on Weight Down Credit Up on Instagram. That's kind of the journey page, right? To show people that it's not hard. The hardest part is like literally starting. At least for me, it was, right? It's not necessarily the workouts. The workouts suck. That's a given, right? The workouts are gonna suck, but you kind of find beauty in the misery, I guess you would say, to get, I guess, to get stoic on it, right? But it's fun, man. I had a blast in today's workout. Hopefully Fonzie is cool with me dedicating that workout to him. So yesterday, my son graduated. I don't know if the term is graduating or promoted from the 3rd grade to the 4th grade. And it was it's always a cool thing, right? Since kindergarten to where he is now, we've always, his mother and I, we always celebrated him, right? We throw a little shindig, right? We get his favorite food, which is pizza, of course. It was my favorite food when I was a kid as well. I still love pizza now, but so he had no idea. We wanted it to be a surprise. So wifey decorated the living room and whatnot after, while he was in school. And so after the horrible incident in Texas happened, the murder in Texas at the school, the school, our school, right, my son's school, sent out a bulletin or a message saying, yo, if you're coming to the graduation, we need you there early. Bring your ID. This is the first time they've ever done this, where you have to check in with an ID. You get a full ID badge that the school gives you. And it was like a TSA security checkpoint, which I was like, all right, I get it. Like, yo, it's still fresh. This thing just happened, this horrible event. I get it. So we get there early, right? And I'm leaving work, leave there in enough time, right? Wifey's like, yo, get there by 11:30. We'll be fine. And so I'm like en route at 11. I'm set to be there by 11:15. And wifey calls me. She's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm on like Paxton Avenue and like 3rd West. And she's like, okay, well, it's getting really busy, so you want to hurry up and get here. I'm like, all right. In my mind, I'm like, all right, it's busy. It's crazy. There's families outside in line. There's there people. It's wild. It's a mass amount of people, right? So I pull up. All right. I found a parking spot. Okay, I see. There's not really that many cars, but maybe there's people on the grass part of the school. I park. I'm like, man, there ain't nobody here. There ain't nobody here at all. So the wife sees me and she gets out of her car. I'm like, oh, all the people, huh? Oh, it's busy, huh? And she's like, well, it looked like it was going to be. I'm like, all right, you just wanted me to be here. You wanted me to be on time. You wanted me to be here, or you wanted me to be here so you didn't have to walk in alone. I get it, but don't sit there and be like, yo, it's busy. Hurry up, get here. And then no, we sitting there, we chilling for 45 minutes before we can even get into the school. Wives are funny, man. Why? Any other person in your relationship, I guarantee you they do funny stuff like that. And if they don't, you're probably the one that does the funny stuff in the relationship like that. It's just super funny. So I haven't had this combination in a while. This is really delicious. This is a treat right now. Cause I don't drink a lot. Only time you'll see me drinking is when I'm DJing at the bar. That's it. I don't drink otherwise. Or unless we have a drink at the studio, right? The homies are here. We having a drink at the studio. So this Diet Coke and Crown is really hitting the spot right now. So we get in and it's like a normal day at school. The kids are out, the other grades are out and they're having their field day and whatnot. And we get checked in, the PE teacher, the physical education teacher, which, by the way, looks like she be in the club, like just having a crazy Thursday night, Saturday, Friday. Like, it seems like she just has a wild 3-day weekend, or 3 days before the weekend, and then like comes to school on Sunday, like ready to teach the kids. Not to pass any judgment. I'm just saying that's what she kind of looked like. So she's like, hey, she's like, so how are you? Who you guys here for? What grade? And we're like 3rd grade. She's like, oh, you guys are early. I give my girl the side eye. I'm like, yeah, we're early. Told her there was a mass amount of people out here. But yeah, here's my ID. Here we go. Check in, right? She's asking, small talk. Oh, I'm the physical education teacher, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, Miss Thursday night. I got you. And then she hands me my ID back and she's like, oh, well, who's your student? Like, who's your kid? And I'm like, oh, my son's Tavian. And instantly, this always happens with my son. I don't know what, like, this dude is meant to be something big, because every time we mention my son's name, anytime, oh, I love Tavian. He is the best. He's such a sweetheart. He's such a good kid. And it just happens every time, no matter if it's family, friends, teachers, school, whoever it is. if they've met my son.
Are you sick of podcasts that just interview people with the same questions and gossiping nonsense?
Are you tired of hearing about what's wrong with the world? Can you locate your nearest orphanage?
Who cooked the Last Supper?
R.I.P. Mr. Potato Head.
Seppuku Harakiri.
Where is Mavis Beacon?
This is Hos.
And this is host Beefy.
Listen to the Beans and Rice podcast.
Exclusively in Braille and all streaming platforms.
Patent pending.
They're always like, "Yo, that's a cool kid. I like that dude. He's a solid human being." And it warms my heart, man, because you don't know if you're doing a good job at this parenting thing until moments like that, either the good way or the bad way, right? Because it could have been, "Yo, who's your son?" Tavian. All right, yeah, your son, right? It could go that way, and if it goes that way, then you know, all right, you're probably not doing the best thing as a parent. But even right now, I'm like, I feel solid as a parent right now, and maybe I'm speaking too soon, but it's funny because right after the teacher said that about my son, I turned to my wife and I'm like, that's dope. Like, that feels good. I was like, that's not how it's going to be with Amari, my middle child, because that boy's me. That boy is me. He's wild. He's crazy. He's energetic. He's funny. He just laughs. His laugh is contagious. And so I'm like, yeah, all right. See, in about 2 years, we're gonna have the same type of scenario, and I guarantee you, we're gonna get to, Amari, you're Amari's parents. Oh, okay, yeah. Like, just because that kid he's just a wild child, man. That boy is funny. He's something else. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they're like, yo, he's a sweetheart. He's helpful, whatever. And hopefully that's that. But yeah, so we're sitting there and we're in the the little auditorium, in the lobby. That's what it's called. A goddamn lobby. That's what that shit's called. So we're sitting in the lobby, and it's just me and my wife, and then this other lady comes in with her kid. You could tell her other kid was in the third grade and getting ready to graduate with my son or whatever. And so she walks in with her baby, and her baby's maybe 2. Yeah, I think about 2. 2's a good age. And you could just tell this mom was like, damn, I should have left your little badass at home. Because the kid is like trying to run through the school, trying to rip off papers and all this stuff. We've all been there. If you have more than one child, well, hell, even if you have one child, you know that terrible 2 bullshit, that is real. That is 100% real. And I felt for this mom. I felt for her. To the point where I'm like, yo, let's go sit outside. Just because I know she felt like we were watching her. So I'm like, yo, let's go sit outside. So we sit out. Plus, I had to fart. So I was like, let's go sit outside. And so we're just waiting there. Mind you, all that's happening within the first 5-10 minutes that we're there. Keep in mind, wifey said there's a mass amount of people here, so get here, hurry up. So about 35 minutes goes by. Right, I see a couple people I know, either from our community or just see them. I'm like, dap them up. What up? Yo, your son goes here. Yeah, man, my son goes here. I didn't say his name because I didn't want to hear yo, I know Tavian. Because first off, if you're not my friend, if you're not my family, you shouldn't know my son. You shouldn't. Maybe if you've seen it on YouTube or something, maybe from a Foodie Food Friday. But if you're just walking up to me and you're like, yo, who's your son? And I say Tavian, and you go, yo, I'm going to have to ask you what's up, son. Like, I'm going to have to ask you, like, yo, how do you know my kid like that? Because you shouldn't, that boy. But yeah, so we're sitting outside and time's going by. Parents are coming and going. The first graders were graduating before my son. And so they're walking out, and you can just tell, like, you just hear the kids like excited to start school, summer vacation, not knowing that, yo, you're probably not gonna be doing shit this summer. You're probably gonna be sitting at home because your parents still have to work. It ain't like you can just go on a vacation, especially in the school that my son goes to. Not now. If it's on the east side, like Cottonwood Heights, Alta, maybe Harriman, maybe Draper area, maybe then you got parents that don't have to work for 3 months. Or maybe your parents that had scheduled a whole week off on vacation, summer break. But not in our community. No, we don't do that. We still have to work. If you're lucky, you get a 3-day weekend. If you're lucky. So you hear the kids and they're like, yeah, like school's out. Yeah, we about to go and go to the pool and whatnot. I'm like, all right, man, that's dope. I remember that feeling. To be like, yo, I don't need these papers no more. Yo, I don't need this binder no more. Matter of fact, I'm gonna leave it in the locker. They could deal with it. I was that kid. I never cleaned out my stuff. Because back in the day, in the 90s, we had the desk with the pull-out tray. So you used to be able to stuff things right there. I don't know if they have them anymore. I don't think they have like cubbies now. In my son's class, they had like these little cubbies. But we used to have like the old school desk where the chair was connected to the desk, and it had the little pull-out thing, right? Pause. And it had the little dip in the top of the desk for the pencils. That's how old school it was. But I would leave all that stuff. Like I would leave everything. I would leave except my number 2 Dixons. Like number 2 Dixon always come with me. And it was never mine. I always stole them. Not stole, I always borrowed them. Never gave them back. But yeah, I would always leave that stuff. Even down to gym clothes. I would never get my gym clothes. I would just be done. Whatever I came with that day is how I was leaving, which was just my backpack, which was most likely with the basketball, maybe some Pokemon cards because it's elementary school, maybe some Pokemon cards, maybe a couple yo-yos because, yeah, yo-yos are back, baby. Yo-yos are back. But, yeah, it was never, let me stack my papers up. Let me file them away. Even if there was projects that I did for my dad. No. That noodle necklace, trash. Yo, that clay pot that I made just to pass the class, broke that stuff in the parking lot. I know I probably slashed some tires with that damn ceramic bowl. Not my problem. School's out. Bing bong. We done. But these kids, they're happy. We're going. And it brought a lot of joy to my heart. Now, it's our turn. We see the 3rd grade parents start to go in now. Ah, snap. We're about to get front row. Mass amount of people, though, right? A whole lot of people. Not going to get the front row. That part's true. We didn't get the front row. We got the 3rd row, backside, in the library. Which, by the way, was a freezer. It was like an ice box in that bitch. Like, it was colder than hell. I guess not the words I should have used it right there. But it was hella cold. And I was telling my girl, I was like, damn, I don't remember what my elementary school. Well, I lie. The first elementary, because I went to 2 elementary schools. I went to Clarendon Elementary in North Portland, on northeast side Portland, right across from Northgate Apartments. That's a shout out. That's where I went. Except that was, mind you, well, no, I went to Mountain View Elementary in Glendale, and then I went to Clarendon Elementary in northeast side Portland. And then I went to D.A. Grout Elementary on the southeast side of Portland, which D.A. Grout was where I spent most of my elementary years. And I was telling my girl, I was like, I can't remember what my library looked like. Now, my first, the Clarendon, they had pods. It wasn't classrooms. It was pods. It was almost like a jail. It was octagon-shaped school. And on the outsides of the octagon were the classes, right? And they would all like cone into the middle part. And the middle part was the library. Except the library didn't have no like desk or anything like that. It was really weird. It was just in the middle. The library was a school pretty much, right? And that was a really weird thing. And that's the only thing that I really remembered as far as the library goes. I don't remember library at Mountain View Elementary. I don't remember at D.A. Grout. And so I was telling my girl, I was like, do you remember your library? She was like, yeah, it was huge. And it made me think about those times when I was in elementary school. I don't remember like a full day. Like I remember going to school, playing outside until the bell rang, eating breakfast, and then going to class. But that's where it kind of gets spotty. And I just remember like bits and pieces of elementary. Me throwing desk at Miss Stevenson, Sarah Stevenson, shout out. I'm sorry. 4th grade was hell for her, 4th and 5th grade, but that was the teacher that had my back. That was like my mother. I loved her so much to the point where I threw desk at her. I know, it's weird. It's kind of like Ike and Tina, probably bad reference, but it was that. And I hope my son remembers his elementary career, because so far he's been able to go there from kindergarten, now hopefully fourth grade, unless things happen, unless your boy moves or something. He should be going to that same school. But we get into the library, and they have this huge, big TV. I'm like, damn, girl. Tell my wife that. I'm like, damn, girl, you think we can get that in the car? Dumbass question. And she even gave me that dumbass question look. Big mass people, right? Mass people. That's gonna be a callback this whole podcast. All right. But all the parents start to filter in, and it's a refugee school, so there's a lot of refugees that go to my son's school, which is dope, because in Utah, I feel like that's needed for him to get equated to their equated to get familiar with other cultures, right? Like one of his homies that I actually got to meet, his name's Abdul, and I think he's Palestinian. I believe. I could be wrong. But really dope that like he had like his homie, his rider is from a different country. You know what I mean? And another kid, Zion, a kid from Africa, right? Boom, a whole nother continent. I think it's dope. And it was just cool to see this melting pot of people here to celebrate the same thing, right? Our kids graduating. And we're sitting there and we're getting ready for the graduation, right? Waiting for the kids to file in and whatnot. And then they start to come in.
Ref, time out.
Hey everybody, my name is Daniel. I'm the admin of the Jazz Nation social media pages, and of course a lifelong Utah Jazz fan. And now I'm also the host of the Jazz Nation podcast.
And I'm Will Wonder, lifelong Orlando Magic fan. Whoa, hey, relax. And co-host of the Jazz Nation podcast.
Each week, check in with us to hear all things Utah Jazz related. Scores, predictions, player movement, and everything in between.
We will also have some really fun interviews with current and former Jazz employees and players.
Once again, that's the Jazz Nation podcast. Find us wherever you stream podcasts. Bye-bye.
And the teacher, she's lining them all up. Hey yo, move forward. Hey yo, get stop playing around. Pay attention. Like the teacher's telling them all this. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You listen to your teacher, right? She's hella cool. And as they're filing in, it's three third. Hold on, I'm gonna get this. Don't worry, we can get through this together. There's 3 third grade classes that are filing in for this graduation, right? And they open it up with a poem. Now the poem couldn't make it out. Sorry, kids talking over each other, starring points. By the end of the poem, it's all and then it's like, oh, okay, now we clap, right? Because there was some stranglers, right? But they open up with a poem, right? And you hear all their little voices together, man. And I'm a father of 3, man. I'm a dad. I'm a father. So there's a soft spot for me with kids, man. And I'll try not to get emotional, but I couldn't help but think about those kids in Texas. And those kids in Texas, they won't have that opportunity. That was something I told my wife. I was like, the whole thing was it just hit different, right? Because these kids, they're the little ones. They're saying the poems. The little ones, they see all the parents, right? All the family members in the audience. And to me, I'm like, man, like these kids that their life was cut short. The teachers that their life will cut short. The ones that were injured, while they might have survived, their life is still cut short because now they have to live with this, right? They have to live with the PTSD. They have to live with this trauma that they went through, and it's not. I don't know how they're gonna do it. That's a really tough thing, man. To be a survivor of such a massacre. Like, will there be survivor's guilt? I don't know. But as they're saying these poems and they're reading off these names and They're giving awards for best improved, and my son's going up and getting these awards too. I'm like, man, like these kids in Texas, man, they don't get to experience that. And it really hurt. It really hurt because I know, and it's a weird thing too, because as I was walking in that school, I can't help but think like what those kids went through, right? All the way in Texas, same thing, right? Elementary school, girls and boys, teachers, right? All in the school for a normal day. And that graduation day was a normal day for us. I'm like, but what happens? Like, what happens if something goes wrong during this time? It could, right? Just because we live in Utah, just because we live in Salt Lake City, just because it's my son and just because it's me doesn't mean that it won't happen. It couldn't happen. It could. If you're listening you listening to this right now, it could happen to you. It could happen to a loved one that you have. So I'm sitting in there in the library and I'm like, in my head, I'm proud of my son. I'm proud of the other kids that have accomplished a full year of going to school, of testing, of gaining knowledge, of being dealing with the social aspects of school, the bullying, the judgment. The kid might have threw up in class and now the kid's puke boy for the next 6 months of school. You know what I mean? These things happen. And so I'm thinking of all that, and then I'm thinking, like, what if there's a gun here? What if somebody starts shooting in the school where I'm at right now? Do I know the exits? Do I, am I looking at, okay, how many dads, how many guys are in here that could help me barricade the door? Or what's the quickest way? Is there somebody here that's disabled? Who's going to carry that person? Like, all this stuff is running through my head as I'm listening to this poem and as I'm, seeing these names being called to these children that have accomplished another year at school. And I don't know, I highly doubt I'm the only one that's thinking this. You know what I mean? But this is a real thought that's going through my head. And I instantly got sad, man. It was a really weird thing, man. I have not experienced school shootings. I was alive for Columbine. That was 1999. I was 10 years old, right? I was just a tad bit older than my son when Columbine happened. But I didn't go. I mean, there was a point in time where we're like, yo, if that dude has a trench coat, that dude's a school shooter. If there was, you would stereotype a school shooter, right? There would always be that little kind of thing. But this was the first time where when I was in a school where I was like, damn, like I need to really be cautious of exits, of things that can be weighted against doors, different material. It could a bullet go through this? Who if I have to carry somebody, who can I carry? If I need to hurry up and grab my son and dip, like, I don't know the route of the school. I know I've been in that school a handful of times. I know a little bit, but all those things were going through my head, man, and it's terrible, man. It's very, very terrible. But at the same time, I'm so proud of my son. I'm so proud of the other kids in his grade. I know some of those little kids are assholes. I get it. I know. Like, we're gonna be serious. We're gonna be for real. A lot of those kids, if they said, "Oh, who's your kid?" and they say, "Oh, my daughter is little Stacy Ann," and my PE teacher might go, "Stacy Ann," right? I know that there's some of those kids there. I know it. But I want those kids to feel safe at school. I want those kids to be able to deal with all the stuff that they have to deal with, from bullying to even how to interact with your own friends, right? Sometimes it's hard to tell your friends no, or to tell your friends if they hurt your feelings, or these things, right? These kids going from the third grade to the fourth grade, I pray to whoever I hope good energy comes to this 4th grade class, and I hope these kids don't ever experience what the kids in Texas did, what the kids in Colorado did.
Hey, yo, you're probably listening to the Unrestricted Podcast with Drerawka.
We are?
No, they are.
Yeah, oh, right.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the real Ruby. You can catch me and Fonzie and the
Funk.
G Daddy Funk on Lake Talk 801 Podcast.
Yeah, but I think you have to come in more smoother, more funnier. Like, yeah, they could catch us on the Lake Talk 801 Podcast.
Yeah, y'all can catch us on the Lake Talk 801.
Yeah, and be like, and yeah, man, hey. And they could catch people like me, the real Ruby, and people like you, Fonzie, and people like him, G Daddy Funk,
wow,
on
that's
the
a
Lake
lot
Talk
of people.
801. Who cares?
What did he say?
Huh?
I didn't hear him.
I don't know, but this probably should be the ad.
Are these on?
Catch a new episode every Monday on all streaming platforms. The Lake Talk 801. Tune in now.
Right? All of the kids in Washington, you know, the one in Washington, the security guard stopped the dude with the gun, and that was a beautiful thing. I think it was Washington. It was a beautiful thing, man. The kid just needed some help. He just needed some love. But there's a big discussion with this whole with the guns in America, man. It's a big discussion that needs to happen. I have my own thoughts on it. You know, I'm a gun owner myself. I definitely don't own an AR-15. I don't even own an M4. I own a rocket launcher, but that's a little different. I think that's a little absurd. I think once we have rocket launcher incidents, then we might have to talk about that. But right now, these weapons that are in these mass shootings, I think that's it needs to be talked about, right? And I hope people can respect others, right? Whether if you're on the side of, yo, I want my AR-15 and there's, you know, everybody should have an AR-15. Or if you're on the other side where you're like, guns are bad and I don't want a gun at all in my house or anything. I see both sides. I get it. But I think we need to have that discussion. You know, those things need to be talked about. You know, at the end when we're falling out, you know, my son, oh, that was another thing. My son was like, yo, Dad, don't embarrass me, please. I'm like, man, I'm your dad. I'm going to embarrass you regardless. If I just showed up, you're embarrassed, right? Like, it doesn't have to be me yelling at your name when they call it. It could be whatever. You're going to be embarrassed. It's going to happen. I'm sorry. I'm your dad. Live with it. But I didn't do the extra stuff. I didn't yell his. I did whistle loud, right? People knew when it was my son, right? Because they all turned around and looked at me and goes, oh, you're Tavian's dad? I love Tavian. He's such a good kid. They all did it at the same time. I'm telling you, this kid's a superstar. But he you know, he didn't get embarrassed. It was funny because he kept looking at me because I'm like 3 rows back and he could see me and he keeps on giving me and his mom thumbs ups. I'm like, I know you're good. I'm in front of you. I see you. You're good. You don't need to, you know, you're going to embarrass yourself. You keep on throwing up gang signs in front of people, right? And so, but it's just funny. At the end, you know, it's the wrap up time, right? Wrap it up. If you're going to check out your kid, go to the classroom, check them out. And it looked like majority of the parents checked their kids out early. It would suck if you were one of the kids that had to finish out the whole day because it's only like you and 3 other people gonna watch Encanto for the fucking 1,000th time in class because you know the last month of school, yeah, you do the last minute testing like 2 weeks in, and then the final 2 weeks is just like bullshit. No need for you to even be there. But it's you know, that was something to where we got to take the picture with the teacher and whatnot, and we were done. And at that point, we're walking out, and as we're walking out, man, there was a moment where there was like no kids, no parents, no one thing like around, and we're walking in this hall, and it's a long hall, right? Very long hall. And I look at my wife, and I'm like, I got sad, and I'm like, all these schools are built like this, right? Long halls, barely any windows. There might be some windows in the classroom, but internally within the school, long halls, brick, right? Think about that gunman shooting through those halls. Think about how loud, how scary that must have sounded. Think about screams through those halls. And and your kid is walking those same halls, those same type of halls. I couldn't get it out of my head. And even now it gives me chills, like even thinking about that, right? Like that's it's such a horrible thing, man. It's such a horrible thing to think about, but that's life. That's where we are, that's what we're dealing with right now. And with I hope people don't forget forget these kids, forget what others have went through. Because it shouldn't be forgotten. It should be something that we always think about. It should be something to where your kids, you hope you raise your kids and well enough and equip them with enough knowledge, street or book, to where they can figure out a good situation for themselves. I mean, you hear about the girl that survived, right? And she like put the blood on herself, right, and played dead, and the dude walked over her, right? You hear about this, and the shooting at the grocery store in Buffalo. You hear about the people that would hide inside the aisles of the food and put food in front of them, so it looks like it's just food. It's like, or the people on 9/11 that fought the dude and took the plane down because they fought. These are things that I feel like I hope I've taught my family enough of to where they feel confident in the next move that they do, whether if it's they're fighting or they're running for survival, right? I don't know if they'll freeze up. I don't know if I'll freeze up. I don't know. I've never been in those situations, but I just hope that whatever it is that they are able to make those choices to save their own life. It's just terrible, man. It's terrible. I really didn't have a lot on this Isolation 20 podcast today. I wanted to talk about that. Oh, before I had a little note here about Tavian, and it's about school. So about 2 weeks ago, this is the father podcast today. About 2 weeks ago, my son had a little incident, right? And this is kind of going into what I was talking about parenting, right? He had a little incident on the slide where a kid, I won't say his name, but my son has had issues with this kid since kindergarten. And the kid was on the top of the slide. He wasn't letting people down. Well, my son decided he wanted to kick him. And so he kicked him. And it's not funny, Tavian, if you listen to this, you already know how dad feels about this, right? He kicked him. And so what did the other kid do? He punched my son in the arm. And my son comes home later that day. And of course, Dad, what does Dad do every day? Yo, how was your day at school? What was good, right? He's like, oh, it's good. And I'm like, oh, cool. What'd you do? And he's extra happy. Oh yeah, Dad, it was all good. This, I won't say the kid's name, but this other kid, they got in trouble as usual, but not me. Like, it was all good. I didn't have a car pulled, which a car being pulled means that they got in trouble. That's what that means. And so we're sitting, he's telling me, and then all of a sudden you hear Mama Bear come in. And she's like, there's about 35 people outside. You better hurt. No, I was playing. But she was like, you have something to tell us? And instantly, boom, you can see the color come out of my kid's face. And you can just tell that he's like, oh, damn, they found out. So apparently the teacher messaged my wife and was like, yo, this is the incident that happened. And my son ends up crying, right? Because he knows better. We taught him better. You don't hit first. You only defend yourself, right? I don't care if they're if they're blocking the slide. You go to a different slide, right? Just because somebody's slow at the McDonald's drive-thru doesn't mean I just ram them out the way. Like, nah. Like, I'll just be patient. I wait, or I'll just go to another restaurant, right? You could tell I'm hungry. I'm mentioning McDonald's, even though I can't have McDonald's. But so he instantly starts crying, and I'm like, dog, well, we told you this. Like, is that what we do? Is that the character that we are? And he's like, nah. And I'm like, then why'd you do it? And he kept on going back. Well, he punched me. I was like, but he punched you because you kicked him. He didn't punch him in the face. He just punched him in the arm. And I was like, you kicked him, right? He was like, yeah. And I was like, who hit who first? He's like, I hit him first. And I was like, all right, well, then you deserve that punch, right? You deserve that punch because you decided you wanted to put hands or kick him. That's not right. We don't do that. That's not how we conduct ourselves as Adams. That's not what we do. Nah, that's not what we do. We taught you better, right? But it's lessons like that. It's hard conversations to be like, yo, you don't act that way, right? On the flip side, I big him up when he does something good, right? Like his one of his good friends, he's a kid that's wheelchair bound, right? And my son will go out of his way to play with that kid. Or like there's a new girl. She doesn't speak English. She only speaks Spanish. My son doesn't speak Spanish. I mean, he speaks Spanish about as well as I do, which isn't very well. Go check out No Hablo Dre Spino. But he makes it a point to be like, oh, well, this new girl, she doesn't have nobody to sit with at lunch. I'm going to go sit with her. I don't know if he's macking. I don't know if he's just trying to be a good kid. Regardless, he makes friends where those kids probably don't have friends, right? And not just and this is kind of like where the whole like, yo, your kid's the best type of thing comes from, man. And I love that. It makes me so happy. That's why when I get a report where the teacher's like, yo, this is outside of his character, I'm like, yeah, it is. What the hell? Let me talk to him. Let's what's going on, right? We need to talk. And he ended up working it out. The kids, they apologize. It's all good. But he's just a sweet kid, man. And thoughts and good energy to anyone that lost their life in that situation, man. Terrible.
The name says it all.
You know my name.
This is Are You Dumb?
Mona Lisa defaced the Mona Lisa. Shout out to the guy that decided he wanted to deface the Mona Lisa in protest for environmental BS. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't dive too much into this article. I was just like, yo, like somebody really tried to mess up the Mona Lisa. Like, is this Nick Cage? Like, yo, Nick, it's a national treasure. We get it, but just take the fake one and replace it with the real one. You know what I mean? Then you be out. You don't need to put cake all up on it. And the crazy thing is that how'd you get the cake off so quick? How did you get cake into the museum, my G? Like, how did that happen? I don't blame the guy that threw the cake. I blame the security. Like, security should have been on it. Security should have been as tight as TSA during the holidays. Like, that's how tight he should have been. That guy, that security should have been as tight as Angel's pants. That's how tight he should have been. Like, we don't need well, I mean, it's the Mona Lisa. Do we really care about the Mona Lisa? Like, I know it's a piece of art. It's a great thing. Do we even know that's the original Mona Lisa? Do we know that? Because I highly doubt that's the original Mona Lisa. I doubt it. It might be. I mean, I don't think I care enough. Like, if somebody was like, yo, the Michelangelo, somebody painted over it, son. Yo, they went crazy. They put the Knicks logo over it. Like, all right, that's dope. You might want to throw a "your" on the bottom. That'd be dope. And brush it up a little bit. It's paint. It's art. We can print it off now. I know it sounds very ignorant of me. I don't know art. I don't. When Jay-Z was like, yo, go invest into some art, I'm like, you a billionaire, my G. Like, it's easy for you to say. Like, I'm just gonna go to the dollar store and get one of those generic paintings that that 50,000 other people have in their bathroom. The half-naked woman. You already know. Everybody has that photo in their bathroom. Or the dumb one with the paint. Remember the big one in the 80s and 90s was the fluorescent colors, the pink with the like green, the neon green and the white, right? And turquoise. Oh man, don't let me get on the turquoise paintings. With the cactus. You ain't from Santa Fe. The hell? I don't know why my grandma's house was. Now, to be fair, my grandma was originally from New Mexico, right? We have family in New Mexico, but I mean, my mom's not from New Mexico. Like, why are we still decorating? Like, we in the Santa Fe? Like, nah. Like, I'm good. Like, can we get something normal? Like, could we get some like skyline paintings? Like, that's what I want. I wonder if there's gonna be more defacing of things. Like when I was at the Vivint Arena, when I did a Valentine's Jam, I went in the tunnel, right, where all the NBA players go by and they have the big murals and they have awards and things like that. Do you think people are gonna start defacing those kind of things, like throwing paint on Carlos Boozer? Like, yo, Andre Karolinko getting a little Hitler mustache might be kind of lit. I ain't gonna lie. I want people to start like the statue, like Karl Malone statue. Why does Karl Malone have a statue? I mean, he got us to Western Conference Finals a couple times, right? He had a good run with the Jazz, but you went to the Lakers, my G. I don't think that's like a Crip, converting over to the Bloods, and then like the Crips giving them a statue. It's like, nah, my G. Like, you went to the enemy. You went to the enemy, my guy. And you didn't even get a championship. Gary Payton too. Like, what are you doing, my G? You were a famous Celtic, and we loved you for it. The glove, we loved you. And then you put on that gold and purple. Hurts, man. It hurts. Now, you might be saying, well, Dre, the pasty gangster John Stockton didn't get us a championship, but John was loyal. John was so loyal where he was like, yo, I don't care about vaccines. It's just a hoax. No vaccines. What does this look like? I look like an ostrich? Do I look like a dog that needs to go and get vaccinated? Don't answer that question. Because the answer is no. John was loyal. He stayed here. He wore those shorts from the beginning of his career to the end of his career. What year did John Stockton end his career? Hold on, I gotta look this up, because if my guy was wearing his shorts in the early 2000s, we might have to rethink greatest point guards of all time. 2003. I don't want to hear it, because he was wearing those shorts in 2003. LeBron James came in with the low shorts. John, he was with those shorts from beginning to end. My man never switched up. Nah, man. John statue. Matter of fact, we need to put John statue on the west side of the building as well. We got it on the east side. Let's throw it on the west side of the building now. That's how dope John is. And then next, I want Jeff Hornacek like this. I want Jeff Hornacek rubbing his face. I want that statue. That's what I want. And Byron Russell, it's not a push. It wasn't a push. I'm sorry, it wasn't a push. Jazz fans, you can argue it. I mean, you could try to argue it. It wasn't a push. I don't think so. What else I got here? I got some old notes from a few weeks ago. The United Airlines fight. That's kind of old news, right? The dude got slapped in the face. Yo, the dude got bing bonged in the face. It was weird because when you see him, right, the employee was kind of brolic, right? He was kind of brolic. He was kind of built like Riak from the T-Talk podcast. That's what he's kind of built like Riak. And when he when he got bopped in the face, right? I was like, oh dang! And then when he came back, he got bop. And then when he fell down, so there's a moment where he falls into like the conveyor belt thing, right? And there's like this like box thing that kind of hides him. So you're like, yo, like where did he go? And then he pops out the other end and he's bleeding. And between those seconds, the dude wasn't bleeding until he popped out of that machine. I think the dude, like, there was like a midget or something. I don't know if is midget politically correct. Can I say that? I don't know if that's political. Somebody was hiding in there and bopped him a couple more times, and then he came out leaking. I swear that's what happened. Regardless, mind your business, people. Like, let's tie it back to my son's learning experience is what I would call it. Just mind your business and walk away. That's all we got to do. Just mind your business, walk away. Let people be dumbasses. If you end up entertaining stupid, you're gonna get stupid. Simple.
And now the movie review segment you didn't ask for. It's down in front.
Stranger Things 4 is out on DVD and Netflix and not at Redbox because Redbox is repugnant. Nah, I'm just playing. It's on Netflix right now. Season 4 of the Stranger Things, and low key, the Papa is enjoying it. All right. My wife hit me up. She was like, yo, this is the thing that I love about my wife is that she'll be like, yo, she'll email me and she'll be like, or not email me. She'll text me and she'll be like, hey, yo, this show's out now. And I'm like, yeah, babe, there's this thing called the internet. I knew about that about 3 days ago. Cause my girl, she like, as much as she's on social media, she don't really, she's just a sweetheart. I love her. But she hits me up. She's like, yo, Stranger Things is out, number 4. I'm like, dope, let's watch it. And so we end up starting it, not knowing that it's the 2022 Exorcist. Like, remember how terrifying the Exorcist was back in the day? Like, these scare, especially when homegirl was like running downstairs backwards, like that. Still have like nightmares about that. But now Stranger Things decided they wanted to get in their bag, like their bag. It is terrifying. If you were thinking Stranger Things was all 80s fun, happy kids, oh, they're cute, the little kid don't got no teeth, oh, they had a little token black kid, oh, no, it is terrifying. They have levitating. I'm not gonna ruin it because it's still fresh, it's still new. Plus I haven't finished it. I'm on like episode 4, I think. But episode 1 sets it off with a bang. We see monsters. We find out about old characters. We get caught up on the new character, we get caught up on the group, right? The kids. And it is every bit of fun. Like it's terrifying, it's hilarious. There's moments in there where you're like, oh, I remember this, right? I'm having fun with it. I highly suggest you get into it right now. I talked to Will Wonder, and Wonder was like, yo, they're dropping 6 now, and then we're supposed to be getting the final 6, because for some reason I thought Stranger Things was done after the 3rd season, but apparently this is the final finale. Sorry. But yeah, 6 episodes now, and then we're gonna be getting 6 more episodes. I asked Wonder, I was like, yo, what do you think? Like, you think we're gonna get it in September, maybe end of summer, maybe beginning of the year? And he was like, nah, I'm thinking Halloween, which makes sense. It's very dark. I think it's the perfect time. They already released it for part 1 right now for season 4. I'm happy. I'm happy if we do a Stranger Things October, Halloween time, right? Right when the NBA's back, right? Maybe we get an NBA promo. We start seeing Stranger Things on the games or so. I don't know, but I'm excited for it. I'm enjoying it. There's another one that wifey, right? She texts me, yo, we gotta watch this. See No Evil on Discovery Plus. Discovery Plus is what it's on. And that one, if you're into true crime, if you're into these things, See No Evil on Paramount Plus. I think it's Paramount or Discovery Plus. Oh my gosh, what a roller coaster! So these are real stories, right? These are real crime stories. Let me give you an example of one. This is season. We're watching season 1, right? Oh, by the way, I was like, my wife. When I went to the little menu or whatever, it was on season 3, like episode 2. I was like, damn, you've been going through these. And she was like, oh, I put them on to go to sleep. I was like, excuse me? You watch serial killer movies, not even movies. It's not fiction. This is real life documentaries to go to sleep. I haven't looked at my wife the same again. It's been it's been interesting. But anyway, so we put it on, episode 1, season 1, and there's the story. It's this girl, right? I think she was a freshman in college, young girl, and she ends up missing, right? She's missing. She's just gone, right? Vanishes. Well, detectives they trace her steps and whatnot, where she's been and whatnot. And they're like, oh, well, the mom said that she was on the phone and she said that she was at Target. So they go to the Target footage and they look at the end of the night. And they found her car at the Target, right? So like, okay, well, her car is abandoned in the Target parking lot. And so they're looking at the car. Nothing looks really crazy. And then they go to the back of the car and they notice that like there's an article of clothing kind of hanging out the back of the car, out the trunk. And so they're like, oh, damn. The police are there. The parents are there. They have forensics there. And this article of clothing is just hanging out of the car. And so the dad is telling, the documentary, like he had the worst thoughts, right? As all of us do. Yo, she is definitely in this trunk. Maybe probably dead, because if she's alive, you probably hear her pounding. And so they're waiting, and that's the thing, they have to wait for forensics, right? Because it's a crime scene. So forensics comes and they pop open the trunk, right? And she wasn't there. All right, so she wasn't there. And then she so they're like, all right, well, back to the drawing board. Like what let's go to the footage. Let's see when she got to Target. Let's see and let's see what she left, right? So they're watching the footage, right? And mind you, this happened in 97, I want to say. No. Yeah, 90s. No. This happened, 97. I want to say late 90s, early 2000s. So happened a while ago, well over 20 years ago. So at the time, Target, I guess, was the only department store that had like the best camera work, right? And so they're like, yo, we can get some really good footage from their security system. So they follow her from when the time she pulled in, right? She goes to the store, she's shopping, she's doing her thing, and then they see her on the phone with her mom, as her mom said, right? So it all checked out, which cleared mom and dad from being suspects, right? Boyfriend was cleared from being suspect as well. So she's doing her thing, right? And then she shops, and then she leaves, right? And she gets back in her car, she leaves. But they're like, what? There's no way. Like, something had to have happened. So they go through it again. They're watching, keep watching it. They slow it down, and they notice they got the footage of the car towards the end of the night coming back to the parking lot. And when it came back, somebody in white shirt and black shorts jetted from the car, parked it and jetted, right? So they're like, okay, well, that's when it came back. Let's comb back through the footage again. So now they're looking through the footage, and they notice that there's been this guy that's been loosely following her. And when I say loosely, like, he'll be at the very end of the aisle, and if she's walking somewhere, he's a good 30-40 feet from her, but he's still like, he watches her or whatnot. You can tell this dude is interested in her. And so when she goes to check out, you notice he leaves to the parking lot, and she walks out, everything's normal. She gets to her car, and then you see this sprint of a guy in a black or white shirt, black shorts, sprint to her car. And then about there was a small like delay, maybe like 12 seconds, and then you see the car pull off. So he kidnapped her. So now they have their suspect, right? And now they follow him. Now they go back to the footage and they follow him. And then again, Target, 4K camera in the 1990s. They get a good picture of his face. They throw it on the news, because back in the day, kids, there wasn't social media. You had to go to the news, and then the news broke it, right? And then John Walsh come through, and he do his thing. So they end up getting a hit on the hotline, on the tip line, and they got a name now, right? They know who they're looking for. Well, long story long, because I know I've been a long time on this documentary, but they end up finding him. He ends up he was kind of lying. He was like, no, I never seen this girl, whatever. And he was like, oh, you know what? Actually, I did. She had nice legs and whatnot. Like, he was like describing her and whatnot. He ended up confessing to murdering her once they found her body. They found her body strangled. She was sexually what's the word? She was raped, right? And he ended up confessing after all that. He ended up getting life in prison without parole. And when the cops asked him, yo, have you ever done this before? Is this your only time? He was like, no, this was the first and only. But the cop was like, I don't believe it, right? So they think that he was tied to other missing women within the area. But again, that show is called See No Evil, and it's on Discovery Plus. Check it out. Let me know what you think, man. It's awful. Yeah, this type of shows that my wife falls asleep to. So if I ever go missing, look at her.
All right, that's it. That's all your bitch ass gets.
I will be at Fierce Fighting Championship number 20. So if you are into MMA or even if you're not, come out, support local mixed martial arts here in the great state of Utah. It's going to be at the Maverick Center, which is arguably our second biggest arena in Utah. I'll be DJing again. It's going to be fun. Tons of great fights. You'll see some interviews from the Damage Plan MMA podcast, which, by the way, go check them out. They interview all these fighters beforehand, and they do a really good job at it. So definitely go tap in with them. But again, June 25th at the Maverick Center. I will be there. You can go on to fiercefightingchampionship.com for tickets and for more information. I will be at a bar named Sue, 8136 South State Street, June 11th. That is for a UFC fight, but we're also celebrating 9 years of service over at a bar named Sue, 8136 South State Street. Such a big accomplishment, man. 9 years in business, especially going through a pandemic. It was scary there for a minute, and now it's flourishing like it hasn't in a while. And I love it. I love to see my team win, and the waitresses, and the bartenders get what they deserve. It's really dope to see. I have some other dates that just follow me on my socials to find out where I'm going to be at and what I'm doing. At Drerawka, that's DRERAWKA, and just keep running up the numbers, man. Just keep watching, keep tuning into the podcast. I really appreciate all the support. We just surpassed 80,000 views on YouTube collectively, right? So that's all the videos collectively have hit 80,000 views, which to me is a cool accomplishment. I don't get into the whole stats thing. But it's dope when you get the notification like, yo, you hit a milestone. And I was looking at some of the other analytics since the day that I started my YouTube channel, which this channel is young. This channel is only like 4 years old. Yeah, I would say about 4 years old. And we've already hit impressions, right? So people seeing it, over 700,000 people. So we're on our way to 1 million impressions. We're on our way to 90,000 views collectively. I have a strong feeling we'll hit 100,000 views collectively by the end of the year, which is great, right? We're almost there on YouTube is the main platform, right? Most of my supporters come from YouTube or Instagram. So it's great to see, and I just really appreciate it. At the end of the day, all this stuff is just extra, right? All the work that I do on these videos, the podcasts, even just having a studio, like all this stuff is extra. What's really important is kind of what I opened up with, right? Is your loved ones, your friends, those true people that you call your friends. Though that's what really matters, right? It doesn't matter if somebody says something ignorant on the internet. It doesn't matter if people have bad things to say about you. It all is what it is, man. The people that really rock with you, the people that matter in your life, make sure you give those people energy. Make sure you tell those people when they inspire you, when they motivate you, right? That's what really matters. So make sure you do that. Don't get caught up in all the nonsense. Don't get caught up in the noise, because that's when you fall into the trap of the man. You don't want that. If you want to come work out, I didn't even touch on the weight loss journey, but I did a really good, I had a podcast with Will Wonder on the Will Wonder pod, so make sure you go and check that out. We talked about the weight loss journey. We talked about so much, and it was a really good episode. We had a fun time on that pod, so definitely go tap in with him. I always talk about showing some love, showing appreciation, and all that stuff. So I just want to take a second here and throw some love, throw some shine, I guess you would. Let's start at the Lake Talk 801, man. Love to you guys, man. I love what you guys do. A shout out to my man Bangarang, Alexa, the U Crew, my man Eracalypse, even though he's not with the with the radio station no more. I still love my guy. T-Top Podcast has been killing it. Blonde and the Hippie, shout out. Of course, Will Wonder, man. I am so proud of Will Wonder. He just surpassed, I think, 71 views, I believe, is where he's at. Or not views, episode, or 76, I believe was the last episode. But you know, Wonder, I'm never gonna let you down, man. Or let you live it down that you waited so long to start this podcast. You know, years. I told this guy, man, years ago, man, start your podcast. Didn't listen to me. Beans and Rice, of course, my brothers from the Beans and Rice podcast, man. I love these brothers, man. Like, I forget what episode it was. They were only like, maybe they were less than 10 episodes in when I first got on to their podcast, Pause. And they have hit the ground running. You know, I always challenge these guys, you know, my friends, yo, can you do more? Can you give us more? Can you make it bigger? Right? And Beans and Rice, they knock it out the park, man. They kill it every fucking time. And their comedy's not for everybody. We're not one of these people, including myself, is for everybody. And that's what makes them special. That's what makes them awesome. Is because when I go to the Beans and Rice podcast, I know that they're going to give me who they are. And I love every moment of it. Shout out to host, shout out to Javi, shout out to Alice, shout out to Beefy, man. Like, I love you guys, man. I'm about to cry, man. Damage Plan MMA podcast, Utah's #1 MMA podcast, man. Love to you guys. Let's see here. Thinking Project, you know, Dalton doing his thing. If you ever want sales advice or, you know, those kind of entrepreneurial things, man, he's been killing it on there, especially his YouTube channel. It's killing it. Yeah, just want to show a little bit of love. The Other Side of the Beehive, obviously killing it. Consistent. Want to see them do more. Shout out to Joe Rogan. Just playing. Joe Rogan don't need my love. But yeah, man, I don't know if I missed anybody else. There's so many of them, right? There's so many homies that are doing podcasts and doing cool things that I appreciate, and I get motivated. I get inspired by these guys now. And for a long time, it was just me, right? It was just me and people laughing at me. And now I got more and more people that are doing it and doing a great job at it. You know what I mean? And I love every single bit of this podcast community. And it wouldn't be nothing without you listening, you watching, you sharing, you liking, you commenting. That's one thing I would challenge you as a listener. Be engaged with your podcast community, with the people that you're making this content for, or the people that, yeah, be engaged with them. Hold on. I got myself confused. So if you are a listener, get engaged with the podcast that you're listening to. Drop them a comment, send them a message, share their stuff. It doesn't cost no money. If they have merch, buy their merch. If they're doing a live show, go buy a ticket to their live show. Because if you're not doing those things, these creators, as much as they want to act big, bad, and tough, they will lose interest in doing it, right? They'll start asking themselves, well, what for? It's not cheap, right? It's not cheap. Some of these podcasters don't come out of their pocket at all. Some of them do, right? Some of them rent studios, some of them own studios, some of them buy cameras to make it look good. It costs money to do these things. So I would stress that you support these guys, these gals, these people, any way, shape, or form that you can. I will be back hopefully next week. We'll see. Today was fun, right? It was not too many glitz and glamour. It was more like raw. It was fun. It was a fun raw time. I'll see you in 9 months when we have a baby. Peace.